You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode. This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, who have been telling Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com, and then definitely follow them on Instagram for all the information that you need, because I'm sure that's where you follow us as well, at oklahomahof. Let's get into today's episode.
Back with another episode. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, you'll notice this is a different background because we are using my guest's podcast studio. It's fantastic. I wish all my guests had a podcast studio. Mr. Stephen Cook is, I guess I'm in your house. Not you're in the house.
Welcome
I'm in
to
your
my
house. Yeah. I was recently on your podcast, had a blast. Love the studio that you have, and was like, wow, we need to do a story. You know, good Oklahoma story it is, isn't it?
Yep.
So,
Oklahoma since I was about 7-8 years old.
Yeah. So you know, family's like a generational company that you have, which we'll definitely dive into. But for everyone listening, it's just like, who is this man? It's a feed store, outdoor and feed store, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So commercial horse stuff is what we predominantly focus on. We deal with companies such as like Lazy E. Mm-hmm. We have like other Express Clydesdales, real big horse farms is kind of our specialty, and that's kind of what I focus on. But we also have obviously a retail store where we can have pet food and just regular horse feed, and we even do like some of the zoo feeds and stuff like that.
Yeah. So outdoors stuff, like you've grown up in outdoors. You grew up basically in the outdoors.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So we do focus a little bit on that, like some hunting stuff and things like that. And then I, obviously enjoy hunting and being outdoors and stuff. So, the outdoors, honestly, we threw in the outdoor when we were trying to think of a name. So when we bought the store, it's called Cross Brand. Okay. So it was a feed company that my grandpa helped start years and years ago. And we renamed it to Cook Feed and Outdoor. And the outdoor was kind of like a safety net in case we wanted to sell some patio furniture or hunting stuff, or we're like, and let's just throw a generic word in there to try to
It's like consulting, right? Yeah. What do you consult? Anything. Will you pay me? Yes.
Anything you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just kind of our safe word.
So your granddad helped start the business.
Yeah. So,
a long time ago.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird deal. He was a Purina. He was a consultant for Purina. Purina paid him to come in if they had a plant that was, like really losing money or something like that. He would come in and, try to fix that plant up. Well, one of his friends said, "Hey man, I want to start a feed company myself. So how do I start a feed mill?" And so he went from the ground up, helped him start that. So that was 30 or 40 years ago. And then about 10 years ago, that guy who was his friend had Parkinson's real bad and said, "Can you help watch over my store in Oklahoma City?" And he said, "Sure." And then about maybe 4 or 5 months later, he said, "Do you know anybody that wants to buy it?" And that was my parents were kind of had just sold all their Quiznos at the time. And they were like, "We'll buy it." Yeah.
So like you said, your parents owned a bunch of Quiznos. So quite an entrepreneurial family from a young age.
Yeah, my dad worked. My grandpa on the other side had his own business as well, and then he had a thoroughbred racehorse breeding farm. That was my dad's dad, and then my dad actually worked at the company for a long time. He was a vice president of a company called Leslie's Pool Supplies.
Okay,
and he decided that he wanted to own his own business.
Yeah.
And he jumped off with the franchise of Quiznos to begin with, and we had a bunch in Oklahoma City. I say we, I was like in junior high.
Yeah.
I washed dishes, so
I
that's
get
a
free
part
food.
of it.
It's no big deal. Yeah. What do you eat for dinner, Quiznos? Again.
Dude, so I was, little story, I was like the drug dealer of the elementary school lunchroom because I would come with leftover sandwiches.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody else had to just eat like the sandwiches or whatever that the lunchroom was making that day. And so I could always like trade for whatever I wanted because I'd have like a nice Quiznos sandwich, and people would like give me their pie or whatever that their mom gave them. And I pretty much got
pie
whatever
every
I
day.
wanted.
How good is that?
Yeah. Hundreds of pounds later, here I am.
Oh, that's funny. So yeah, I guess, growing up, and it's you're based in Tuttle, right? Is that where you grew up? Kind of Tuttle area?
Yep. My parents met in Tuttle, lived in Tuttle. I went to school starting in fourth grade there.
Okay.
So went there through junior high and high school and graduated from there.
Yeah. And we met because of a mutual friend, Jake, and I hope he's listening. If he is and watching, hey, Jake. About to have a baby.
Shout out. And
soon, right?
Gonna name him Lincoln, which is my son's name.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's nice. Because you guys met right in, I guess, he's from Tuttle too.
Yeah, he's
right?
from Tuttle. Yeah, we were in the same grade, played sports together, and went to high school, junior high, everything together. Yeah.
So when you, I guess, graduate high school, did you just continue to work, or did you think I'm going to go to university?
Man, I was like one of those, which I think everybody kind of deals with this, that I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I did know that I really wanted to own my own business. And my dad kind of like brainwashed me. It was like, you have no idea what it's like to work for somebody else type of deal, but just trust me, owning your own business is better. And so I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I started out with a restaurant and hotel management degree. My parents had restaurants. I was just kind of like, this will cover my bases.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
And I kind of like started, I wasn't real sure I wanted to do the Quiznos thing, but I wanted to do something in food. And then they bought this and it started doing really well. So my sophomore year of college, I switched majors to animal science. Okay. And that's when I ended up finishing at OSU and got an animal science business degree. So I kind of switched and was like, I could see me doing that or a different field in that. So
because can you go down and be a veterinarian or vet after all that stuff?
Yeah, you can continue on. That's where a lot of vets start, is animal science, and then they go on. I stopped well short of a vet degree. But
yeah, I'm not sticking my hand up the backside of a cow for anybody. That's like the one thing I think of being an animal vet.
No matter how much they pay you?
No, thank you. That's just no. It's not my scene. But so OSU was, I'm sure, a blast, right? This is the home of agriculture, right? In the state. Like it is the go-to
crazy.
place.
Yeah. I didn't realize, you just go there and it's one of those deals, you don't know anything different, but like the animal science school is like one of the biggest schools in that college. And then like I found out that's very rare to even have an animal science school, much less, have that big one. But we also, so I was on the horse judging team too. So that paid for a lot of my college.
Yeah.
And it was pretty wild that was another avenue where I was able to meet a lot of people in the animal industry.
Yeah. But, and so while that's all going on, you're thinking, how many feed stores did they have at the time?
At the time, just one.
Just one. Okay.
Yeah. So my junior year of college, in between my junior and senior year, somebody that had the Yukon store wanted to sell it, and they approached my family about wanting to sell it and said, we'll sell for this much, and we just passed. And she actually, I don't know, she closed her doors, went bankrupt, whatever. The business closed, and we went in a couple months later. My dad said, if you can help me set up this other store, then we can maybe set it up. And then, are you planning on working for me? I was like, yeah. So we went and set it up, and between my junior and senior year of college, and opened which was our second location. And so that's when we got the second location. Now we're building the third location in Norman.
Yeah. So, and the good thing is, like, you've seen it grow. You've been there for the entire growth of it, been in everything, basically.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you've graduated and, you have a store to come to. It's already ready to go. Like, you've got to go and establish this on your own. And there's no better person to learn from than someone who's been doing it, especially if they're your old man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So was your granddad still around doing this stuff?
So he was involved like the first year.
Yeah.
So like when they bought it, because they didn't know much about,
Sure.
a lot of the things. And so he was around the first year, and then he kind of, I guess you say stepped away or whatever, about a year. I think it was about a year after they had bought the business. And so he was actually like involved too. He owned part of the business and stuff. They bought him out and kind of went that direction after about a year. So he was very involved at first, though.
Yeah. So right now you have 3 locations?
Well, we got 2,
so
and then the third one's under.
Okay,
the third one's under construction right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's getting built.
Norman was just a good location, like kind of where you wanted to go?
Yeah, you can get like actual horse numbers and stuff by county and things like that. So
nice.
We have, like, we worked with our vendors, obviously want us to expand and stuff. So they helped us do like surveys and studies and stuff like that, and showed us some of the numbers in Norman, that county down there. The Norman area is very
interesting,
large in horse numbers. So that was part of it. Also, the largest tractor supply we found out is in Moore, and the largest Atwoods is in Norman. So those are the two
Perfect.
largest chains. So we were like, there has to be a lot of business
Yeah,
down
there's
there.
got to be a reason,
Maybe
right?
we can get a little bit of that. So
So
that's
just
kind of
the location just popped up, or did you have to like really
man,
try
we
and
made
find?
like 3 or 4 offers on different.
Yeah.
Trying to lease a building. We tried to buy a bare piece of ground. There was different reasons why they didn't go through, but finally one came up. It was on the market for like a year, but it was a bare piece of ground. So we were trying to find a building already built, but it's kind of a
It's tough.
unique situation we're in because we need like a warehouse type building, but with a retail
Front of
area
house,
to it.
yeah.
Yeah. So we've finally decided we need to just build it.
Well, and like the one we're in now is off I-35. Outside of all the construction that we have, it's a perfect location to get to, isn't it? Like it's easy to get to from any part of town.
Yeah. And that's how the Norman one will be too. It's right on the side of the interstate.
Yeah.
So
daily operations are out of this one for you, right?
Yep.
And then do you just kind of pop around to the other store and just kind of, your job obviously is just generate more business and see
make
clients,
money.
but like, I know you've got to take care of stuff here, but obviously it's a future, if people aren't buying stuff from you in the future, then, if you're a business owner, you've got to bring new clients in all the time.
Yeah.
So, what was a typical day like when you first started compared to what it is now?
Man, it's crazy. I looked up the numbers not too long ago. I think we did like 1.2 million in sales or something, which my parents had kind of changed the business and grown it quite a bit.
Sure.
My senior year of high school and then my sophomore year of college. And then, so since then, now we're like a 6 million plus business. So we've grown, 6-fold since. So what's crazy is a lot of our growth can come with machines and equipment.
Sure.
So instead of, 2 guys unloading this, now we have a machine that'll do all of it and things like that.
And those guys can go work on something else so you can grow and be,
Yeah. So we do a lot of that growing with machines. But then the other thing we've done is we've tried to get managers at both stores in preparation for having a third because we know I'm not going to be able to be, involved super heavy.
Yeah.
So I've been working on a lot of outside sales and marketing and stuff like that recently.
And having a lot of fun doing it by having your own podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love, man, I had heard people say like they podcast as like a hobby. And I'm like, how can you podcast as a hobby? Well, then I'm like, okay, if I, dedicate myself to meeting other business owners and, things like that, maybe it would be kind of fun, And so finally I was like, all right, whatever. And
now you've been doing it?
Yeah.
Like,
I
it's
just
the best
like,
thing ever.
I was like, no way would it be, just a hobby, but it truly, it's.
Yeah. I tell people like everyone should have one and they're like, yeah, whatever. And then also at the time I'm like, I probably shouldn't keep telling people that because then they will start one. And I'm like, it's competition, right? But it's so much fun doing it. Like we've like the guest you just had on recently that we spoke about, which hopefully, I'll have him on as well. Amazing story. But like, when are you ever going to meet people like that? You know? And the people that I've met and that we've had, like we wouldn't have never met, stuff like it's a lot of fun. And,
it's crazy.
It's, if you can find a subject that you love talking about, just hang out. Like I just started a golf segment to mine just so I can hang out with 3 of my golf mates once a week to force us to hang out together. Cause we just, we got,
Are you going to podcast
kids.
while you golf?
Oh, that would be a riot, wouldn't it?
Just put a microphone in the golf cart or something?
Yeah, that'd be a long podcast. That would be a Joe Rogan style long run.
5 hours.
Yeah, that'd be like golf shot, shank, and there'd be like some bad words after it. And there'd be a lot of editing to make it decent, but it's weird being on the other side, isn't it?
It is. I can't get over this. I'm like, what's he gonna? It's almost more intimidating because I'm like, what is he gonna ask next?
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's weird. I thought it'd be more relaxing as the guest because you don't have to think of questions and all that. But it's almost like,
you think
what's
more?
he about to ask?
It's so easy on this side. I love being on this side.
I know. I didn't realize it. I'm glad I'm a guest because I thought the guest was the easy part. Yeah,
being on the other side. Yeah, I do too. When you interviewed me and I'm like, okay, what have I just said? What have I got to say? And then I say things, or I listen to it back, and I'm like, that sounds terrible. Like, what have I just said? Just little things, but there's a lot. It's practice.
The only
just like
relaxing
anything.
part is like I don't like if all your equipment jacks up. I'm like,
it's my fault, not yours.
Yeah. That's what I'm always stressing out about the equipment. So
yeah,
like,
I've had a couple of those just like
recording.
failed and stuff. I'm just like,
did you see me tag? What's his name in
Desmond? Yeah, I saw that. It's funny because his wife gets my weekly email. She's on the email list, and she replied to the email. She's like, "I love the weekly email list," And she obviously didn't see that you tagged her in Desmond in the thing, but they knew because I told them about it and they were laughing. But yeah, she I think it's her birthday recently, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
But yeah, it's It's fun. I think everyone should at least do it once.
It's crazy. Just don't compete.
It just takes a lot of time to keep it going, right? Because
Yeah.
I've had friends who are like, "Oh, I should start my own." I'm like, well, yeah, you should, but like, just know, like,
Dedicate 15 hours at
It's
least,
consistent.
yeah.
You've got to be consistent with it.
Yeah.
Because it's easier now to start a podcast than it ever has been. And I had a friend who started. He's like, "I'm starting a podcast." Posted one episode, and I asked him,
That's
"Hey,
it?
how's your episode? How's your podcast doing?" Yeah, it's really hard. It's like, what's hard? Like, just time. I'm like, well, like, that makes sense. But
It's crazy.
has it been like good for you to to get clients in, and have you seen a positive track record from having new people in to?
So I started. We kind of talked about our mutual mentor Gary V.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think it was 2 years ago, I had watched some of his stuff that talked about creating like a video series or something like that.
Sure.
So I created one called Steve's Horse Show.
Okay.
And that's basically the only marketing we did for the last 2 years, and it was a 10 to 15 minute episode type of deal that I would go interview other horse trainers or I was like an educational horse deal, and so that's been basically our only marketing for a while. So I've kind of already had people comment about I saw your video on this, I saw your video on this, and the podcast I'm trying to just kind of have like a general, not zero it in on horses per se, just kind of general business and other people from other people from Oklahoma, because I don't want to just corner myself into, I don't know, I have no motive, I guess. Like,
well, as long as you, I guess, and it's kind of the same with This Is Oklahoma, as long as you have some form of relatability back to what the general like goal is. Like Oklahoma is such a general theme, like such a big thing in it. It could be anything, and same with you with feeds and like you could talk about feeding their dog and cats and parrots and whatever it is. Like it's great, isn't it? Outdoors is a huge topic to talk about.
Yeah,
you have someone on who they sell tractor supply stuff.
Right.
Everyone, there's so much stuff when you dive into it.
Yeah.
And
I actually tried to get, and I don't know if he's going to be on or not, but I tried to get a guy that has a small chain of pet stores. Like he sells other feed and stuff, but I'm like, just stuff like that. Like we could be competitors, I guess, but at the same time, maybe he wants to sell all his locations in 5 years.
Yeah,
or something.
exactly.
It's just I'm just like kind of general thinking, I guess.
Yeah. And then, it's more casual to sit down with somebody for an hour to talk about what they'd love to do, rather than sit down with them and be like, "Hey, here's my business. I want you to pay me for my services." Like it's super, it's less formal and
changes
more
it.
relaxing.
And it's a mix between that too and I would feel like almost uncomfortable asking someone to just go to lunch and just like learn more about you, because
I hate getting asked
again,
to go to
they're
lunch.
like, what do you sell? It's like,
hate it.
no, like literally, I just want to, if there's something I can learn from you, okay, yeah, maybe, or something, but will you be on my podcast is actually kind of flattering for some people. And, so it gives you a reason to,
I hate when people are like, "Hey, let's get," and if it's somebody that I don't know, then I usually, I don't know who they are. I don't know what their angle is. But if it's someone I know and they never reach out to me, and then they reach out, "Hey, let's grab coffee," I'm like, you probably just started insurance, like
just started selling
I'm
Herbalife.
just like, look, just give me a call. And like, I'd rather I drive around quite a bit. Just call me, and like we can talk about things, and I can tell you yes or no, rather than like. And I think this is just coming from getting older. The older I get, the more I value someone's time and my own time.
Yeah.
And I also realized that when you asked me to be on the podcast, being on the other side of it and being like, now I have to give up my own time for someone else, I realized how awesome that was, right?
Yeah.
But also at the same time, like if someone asked me and I'm like, I just don't want to do it, then I realize like how lucky I am to have the amount of podcasts I've done and the amount of guests that are willing to come on, because it takes a lot of time, So for everyone listening that's been on the podcast, I really appreciate you, and you can definitely come on again. But I guess, just how long have you been graduated? How long have you been out of school?
So I graduated in 2014.
Okay.
That's when I started.
So you've been in 6 years then.
That's when I started. Yeah. Full time. Of course I worked, part time and blah, blah, blah.
But it was a legit job when you graduated.
But it was, got hired by Pops. We had a written contract and the whole bit. Yeah.
W-2, the full thing.
He takes it. No, I mean, it was like a written, this is what I'm offering you. I mean, the whole deal. So now I'm a part owner, but originally, I mean, I was just manager of the store. And I mean, it was a very, normal type situation. He's like super.
So it got real as soon as you graduated.
Yeah, then. I mean, it was like, this is what I expect and all that.
That's nice though, because that like, you're like, I'm going to really throw myself at this because, like you said, I am now a part owner, and you kind of taking over some of the reins and going to run with it. And then, Lincoln one day will hopefully be a part of it. And if he wants to be, if he doesn't, then never mind. He better be.
He's working in the warehouse at least.
How old is he now? Like 2 or 3?
No, he's like 5 months old.
Oh, that's hilarious.
4 months. I don't remember.
He's just, just got his
So
t-shirt.
So I just started like vlogging, trying to like vlog once a week.
Video stuff's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tough.
The video is easy. The editing's hard.
Yeah, very. So I started vlogging, and the first vlog I did was just like, who am I, like about me, blah, blah. And I had this like short clip in there where I was like talking about my family. Well, like, dude, if my wife listens to this, I'm trash. But
we can edit this out if we need to.
So there's a picture in my office. It was like my wife and my daughter. Well, I made a video. It was like, yeah, I'm married. I have a daughter, blah, blah, blah. She's like, you forgot Lincoln. Well, like, I remembered him, but I'm like, that's nothing important. I mean, she like,
she lit you up.
She's like, you forgot about him. I'm like, I didn't forget about him because he's only a few months old.
Yeah, he's new.
You forget about him. Like, she's like, you forgot about him. She like wouldn't believe me. She's like, so like 2 hours later, I'm like sitting there video editing, and that's how she saw it, because I was video editing. She like comes back like 2 hours later. She's like, I can't believe you forgot about him. I was like, I didn't forget him.
You like grab your microphone, you're like, and my son Lincoln, add to the video.
I like put a video, I put words over the top. I was like, and I have a son.
That's
I'm
hilarious.
like, get over it.
So how old's your daughter?
She's 4, just turned 4.
So she's definitely working in the store then.
Yeah.
Running around carrying food.
So she loves like cash register stuff. So when she comes up here, I like make her say hi to customers and act like she's in the register.
Instant sale.
Oh yeah.
Straight away, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like babies and puppies.
Yeah. It works.
Definitely. So I guess what is, because you've been doing this for a long time now, since, it's always been in the family, what do you enjoy from it? Like, what do you love to do every day? Because there's parts of the business you have to do it. You don't particularly want to do it, but it's essential to be successful. What's the stuff that like, I love doing this?
Man, marketing and sales is where I tick. It's kind of weird because most marketing and salespeople don't like any bookwork type stuff, but I really don't mind, working on P&Ls and doing that. Like I do all the bookwork and stuff for both stores. So it's kind of weird because I don't mind that stuff at all. But I love marketing and sales. I get like, it's almost like a nervous feeling, like cold calling and stuff like that. It's like a rush for me, but I love that side.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you probably wouldn't have as much business if you didn't like it.
Yeah. It keeps me in the rear sometimes because I hate dealing with like ordering and, just like, I hate being like stuck to, like you have to get this order in, you have to, and some of the employee stuff, like I hate having to do schedules and, Sally wants off on Monday and, it's just junk like that.
Yeah.
But that's a part of the.
But then you get to make calls and meet new people and
Yeah.
invite people to come on your show and all the rest of it.
Yeah. I love that side.
So with the clients that you have, is it quite a large area or is it more just kind of Oklahoma City Metro and surrounding areas?
Kind of depends. We sell, so I have like one customer in Iowa that I sell hay to. Yeah. So we can sell a lot of stuff, just middleman. Okay. So we have relationships with farms and then there's people that, they're farms that don't produce hay, so there's big horse farms that want to buy stuff. We sell to a lot of other feed stores. So we're a distributor for one brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we go all the way down to like South Oklahoma, like Texas area, all the way up to Iowa. I've sold a few loads in Minnesota, stuff like that. So we kind of go all over. Yeah.
That's really good.
But as far as like, obviously like walk-in traffic, it's around the metro, but we do one-on-one sales all over.
Yeah. So you're not just calling the 405 and the 918. It's like
and that blows some people's mind, They're like,
I never
like
our
feed sales company, I've got one deal I'm trying to get done in Lubbock where I can sell them feed but it's produced in Oklahoma either way and it has to be on a semi either way. So I'm like, I don't need to see them. Like,
that's fair enough.
Most people text in their orders and it's over with. So
that's really good.
It blows a lot of people's minds that, you don't have to be, there, but
well, in the agricultural industry in Oklahoma is massive. Isn't it? It's huge.
You have an endless amount of customers here in the metro.
Is it quite easy? I assume with the ranch and stuff and with the farms, it's generational as well, right?
A lot of it. I mean, when you get into the commercial stuff like we're doing, I mean, like Lazy E, I mean, it's like they have MBAs and they're I mean, and that's a big misconception. Like, you know, one of the guys at Lazy E, I mean, he wears like he wears skateboarder brand hoodies and, you know, flat bill. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not like what you would think of. These are like big businesses. It's not, you know, just your typical,
I
like
love that though.
Johnny Boy has,
I love
and
that.
I've got one customer that I've only seen him in overalls, you know, I mean, there's a little bit of a huge mix, but it's not, I guess what you could say, like your traditional
it's not normal bit, like normal. Traditional is the right word for it. It's not traditional business,
Yeah.
like suit and tie, white collar, like
Exactly.
you know, come to my office type thing. It's like go out and meet me and that. But that's great though. Like I love that.
And they're typically down to earth people.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
They
it's
have to be.
not, you know, you're dealing with animals and stuff, so everybody's going to be somewhat in that
The
mode.
outdoors just does that to people though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like
makes them normal.
Yeah, like there's nothing better unless it's freezing cold. There's
Yeah.
nothing better than being outdoors. And if you spend an afternoon outdoors, you're just like, I feel refreshed. And then you meet people who've done it their entire lives, and you
The
wonder why they
happiest
are the way
people
they
on
are.
earth. Yeah.
Like I'd love to put overalls on all day and just go ride horses and drive trucks and you know just kind of move stuff around.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's a lot more to it than that. But I
make
want
it
to
sound
learn
so
how
easy.
I want to learn how to ride a horse properly because I'm.
Dude, let's get you on a racehorse.
No thanks. I'm scared of riding. I'm scared of riding horses.
Really?
Yeah, I just.
So my daughter just got a pony, a little miniature horse.
Thanks.
You want to give that one on for size?
Yeah,
you
I'd
just
love
put him
that.
in between your legs. You don't even have to touch him.
I know. I would love to learn how to ride a horse.
Dude, come over.
Like that would be awesome because
We got like 20
just
horses in
scared
my
of it.
backyard.
Yeah. Because
You
I
wanna ride
had
around?
like so we went back home for Christmas. Me and Taryn went home, and every time we've gone home, she's like, because there's near my hometown, there's a farm that breeds racehorses. It's right by the coast, and they kind of do like you pay and they take you on a trail, and so my wife's been wanting to do it for like 4 years, and I'm like, no.
You don't have to do all that.
What?
Just come out to Old Tuttle.
Well,
We can slap you on a horse.
so she did it at Christmas, right? I didn't.
Oh, so she actually did it.
I got a friend of mine's girlfriend to like, hey, do you want to go do it? Yeah. Oh, great. You two can have a great time. Go. You know.
Oh, I wanted to go.
So
but
that's
you
exactly
can't.
how it happened. So they both went, had a blast. Well, Nick, the guy whose family owns the horses, like, you know, there was like a 2-hour trail down the beach, all scenic. You know, they're trotting down the beach, all this movie kind of stuff. If anybody's ever seen a Guinness commercial, the horses running through the waves, that's what they were doing.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I'm like, oh, just like, I'm impatient, right? So if I get on a horse, I need to learn, and it's going to take me a long time to gallop down through the waves. I see myself, right? You know, and he's like, it's like being a race car driver, right? Or driving. You're like, I need to learn how to drive, but I want to go 150 mile an hour in a race car. Like, that's kind of how I've just got that. But
You
I'd
can
love
put you
to
on a
learn.
racehorse.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking of racehorses, you got Remington's literally a mile away from the store, pretty much. You know, and we have some mutual friends that do some very big, cool things there. The Vance family. I've played some golf with Matt and Dave. What's your relationship with them?
So it's kind of crazy. Remington basically has the facility.
Okay.
So when you can, what they call, apply for stalls. So if you want to train a racehorse, so you say, I want to train a racehorse, most of the people that train the racehorses don't actually own them.
Sure.
So, you know, somebody will own the horse, somebody will train the horse, and then they apply for stalls back there. Mm-hmm. So some of the trainers will have the maximum is 40 stalls, aka they have about 40 horses, and then some of them will have 2 or 3 or 4.
Gotcha.
So what we have to do is go to each of those trainers, and basically we get on the facility of Remington, and then it's up to us after that.
Yeah.
So we park a machine over there where I walk around every morning and talk to every trainer that I can, basically, and then come back here, we load stuff up, take it over there.
Like, hey, what do you need today kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of work.
So it's just one-on-one sales. I mean, so I'll talk to, there's probably 80 of them back there total.
Yeah.
You know, I'll run into, say, 40 of them because, you know, one of them might have just went over to Sonic or whatever, you know, and I miss them.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to maybe 40, and then out of those 40, maybe 20 will actually need stuff that day.
And over time, you build a relationship, and they recognize you, and they just
Hey, Steve. Yeah. And a lot of people are like, just don't let me run out. So I just walk by and I see there, you know, it's a lot of memory and
just send them an invoice
writing
kind of
it down.
thing. And
Yep.
Yep. The relationship business is the way to go, isn't it?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy how, like, convenience too. I mean, people do care about prices, but man, like, convenience is
If you save them
we'll bring it
time.
out here. You don't have to worry about anything. You know, it
Yeah.
kills.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about going the, like, wanting to ride more and like doing all that kind of rodeo, racehorse, all that kind of sport?
Me personally?
Yeah, like the competitive stuff.
Dude, I'm going to blow your mind.
Because that's nuts.
I basically have like zero interest in animals.
This is even better.
I'm being dead serious. I'm being
Nice.
dead serious. It's crazy. I have an
Yeah.
animal science degree.
Yeah.
My dad has like a bunch of race horses. Grew up around horses. And I think it's one of those deals like the city kid always wants to be the country boy and the vice
Sure.
versa. You know, I think it's just like that type of deal. But
Yeah.
that's what people are always like, I mean, people just assume like I have
right, of course.
horses, I have dogs, you know, they're like, what do
Yeah.
you feed? I don't.
Yeah.
What do you know, oh, come on, you know, blah, blah. I'm like, my dad does have horses.
I have a
Like, I
fish.
know what I'm doing, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have zero animals.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, so.
But you grew
Not
up
really.
around them, so you know how to ride a horse and
yeah.
all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
that's second nature to
Yeah.
you.
I'm super
Yeah.
like in tune with, being like knowing what I'm doing. And then obviously like now I know all the science side to things.
Yeah.
Now I know all the nutrition side to things. So I'm like very like, you know,
Yeah.
familiar with it, but
You have a doctorate degree basically in knowledge of that stuff just from over time and business.
Yeah,
side of
collecting
stuff.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So outside, I guess, what do you like to do then? What do you love to do growing up?
man, I don't know. I was like huge into sports like growing up.
Yeah.
And I still am, but like this sounds crazy, but like I really like I have a big like hobby like in business. Like I love business things and like I could talk about business as a hobby. It's like crazy as it sounds.
That's good.
And so I'm just like interested in like business as, you know,
Yeah.
in general, I guess you could say, but like, you know, I still like am involved in like a little bit of sports and stuff, you know.
Just so
But-
back to, I guess, you know, swapping out Quizno sandwiches and for like that's where the business entrepreneurial
Yeah.
side comes
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you would like, you know, the whole lemonade stand stuff as well?
Dude, I mean, I posted on my Instagram a while back, but I actually found a flyer. I had forgot about it, but I started a dog walking business.
Yeah.
And my aunt was in town and I started like it was like Steven's dog walking business or something. And I remember I went door to door and like sold to all these people and I got like one customer or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, so I've always been real interested in business, I guess, from an early age, but, and then I got really into it in college. I like started reading books and like, you know, but
Yeah.
just kind of recently, I guess it's like,
So
Actually.
were you growing up, you were into a lot of sports, like football, baseball,
yeah,
or everything?
played about every sport.
Yeah.
So Tuttle's like huge into
Big
football,
football
of
school?
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like huge into football, like did all the workout. I mean, it's like a full-time job, you know,
Yeah.
it's 6 days a week, you work out and, you know, stuff like that. So I was just like very consumed with everything with sports.
But like I said, at that time of your life, that is life, isn't it?
Yeah. And that was one of those things like I was a little bit, not scared, but like I was kind of like, am I a hard worker? You know, because like I never really had, my parents were super like, they made me work, but I never really I didn't have to have like a part-time job in high school or anything like that. But I was kind of like, I like actually remember like thinking about like, am I a hard worker? Because I worked out a lot and I like, you know, I was dedicated to sports and stuff, but I was like, is it different like working, you know? And, but yeah, I mean, that was like my job, I guess you could say, in high school.
Yeah. And do you think it's like, what's the mic? It's rubbing on your jacket.
Is that what it is?
People listening will be
I
like,
heard
what
a
is that noise?
feedback,
So with sport, like being a job and stuff at the time, like that was life. Were you thinking I'm not working hard enough because it just naturally it came naturally to you? That you really enjoyed working, so
Yeah.
it didn't feel like hard work?
Yeah,
Does that
I
make
guess.
sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's really what it was, and
Yeah.
and I still think it's like that now. Like you see that with like podcasting and stuff. I think, you know, if you find, I mean, it's really like if you find what you like to do. Like,
yeah.
And there is aspects to it, like, you know, even with sports, there's like you hate the sprints, but you love the, you know, other parts about it or whatever. I think that's kind of what it is if you really enjoy it, it feels like, you know, and then you're like, oh, I'm making money from it. So I guess it is work,
Right.
you know?
No, that's true, isn't it? And like, and I've said this probably a million times on the podcast, but like, it's not work when you love what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know,
That's very
It
true.
doesn't- And people who are very successful, yes, they know they work very hard, and there are times, like you said, that you don't want to do things, but you do it because the good times are worth
Outweigh the bad.
they're worth every single hard knock or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
So with, I guess, because you were skiing recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
So skiing is a big thing for you as well?
Yeah, I love skiing. It was kind of a once a year type of thing. I've started the last couple of years, started going 2 and 3 times. Love skiing, love hunting. I actually got a text this morning. We're tried to do an annual elk hunt.
Okay.
And so anyways, but yeah.
Where do you go for that?
Ridgeway, Colorado.
Okay.
So it's kind of it's like a crazy deal. The guy I go with, it's a father-son, and they used to be guides in Colorado elk hunting. And so like 2 out of the like 10 people in our group used to be elk hunting guides. And it's like this private land, and which is like super rare.
Yes.
I
know enough about hunting to know that that's like gold mine.
So it's like, it's a private land deal, and it's like super cheap. And as far as like hunting,
so
private land
have you got one every time you've gone?
So I didn't the first, and then the second time I did.
And then it just feeds you for the year, basically.
Oh yeah, it's like, I don't remember exactly. I think it was like over 200 pounds of meat.
Yeah.
So
it's like, honey, we need to buy a new
we had to buy a new freezer.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah. So the last year I shot an elk and a buck. And I mean, it was like insane. And my whole family had like.
Did you do the whole like head mount stuff like that?
Yeah, it's in my. I'll show you. It's in my office.
Yeah, both of them.
So I did they call European mount. So it's like the bear skull and then the antlers. Yeah.
Yeah, because the neck and head it's huge. Yeah, it's not small.
And at the time, I thought I was gonna put it in the house, maybe, but
she's like, no,
nah.
It's like, going in your office.
She said we didn't have enough room for it, but I don't think she wanted the antlers hanging out.
You don't want this above the dinner table?
She's like, it's not big enough, so.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But so you try and go and build that relationship with those guys just from
so we know each other from church.
Yeah.
And it was one of those deals like, want to try elk hunting? I was like, yeah.
Yes, I do, yeah.
So yeah, they like told you everything. So that guy actually like hung out with me. So it was like basically a guided hunt.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
So you shot him. Have you done like the bow side of things as well?
Yeah, so I shoot a bow, and I got a bow range.
Because that's real hard, right?
You want to shoot a bow?
I would love to try, yeah.
Let's go right after this?
Yeah, we'll do that, because I'm like not very gifted with. I play golf.
Dude,
and that's
we're
full
on Joe Rogan here. We got a podcast room and a bow set up,
and a gym and everything else.
Yeah,
great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the bow stuff like? 'Cause that's really hard.
Super hard. So first off, they have to be within. Depends on how good of a shot you are, obviously, but 60 yards is nuts. But less than 60 yards close to you. So that's hard to get to any animal that close, no matter, if you're deer hunting or whatever. And when you're elk hunting, you pretty much have to be on the ground. Well, if you're on the ground, they can see you, hear you, you know, everything. So that's the first hard part. And then the second hard part is it's actually takes skill to slow your breathing, and focus and all that. So it's pretty tough.
Yeah. And that's something that just takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, a lot of practice, which I'm not the best at practicing that. So.
Well, you run a business. You're busy, right?
Yeah. That's why I put it in here. I'm like, 5 seconds. Just shoot. So.
That's awesome. So, like I said, you travel around a lot, see a lot of, ranches and family-owned businesses and stuff like that. What's it like doing business with ranches and families in Oklahoma?
It's pretty cool. I don't know. I have a strong admiration for well-ran businesses especially that are family.
Yeah.
Because, when we go to a lot of these, it's pretty rare to have a multi-generation, business. And that's super common in an agriculture deal. A lot of it has to do with like land, because it's hard to start one from scratch. So a lot of that has to do with acquiring land, but I have a lot of respect for businesses that are multi-generation and they're well ran, because it seems like a lot of the kids don't want to be in the same business, or they ruin it,
Yeah.
So,
they're like, this land's worth a lot more money than I want to work for, so I'll just sell it to a developer, and it's become like I don't live in the country, but I'm very kind of close to it, and there's a couple of landowners that there was a farm on the corner. It's on the corner of Council and Wilshire. And it was like a horse farm and trainer and stuff, and like I think
kind of over by the turnpike.
Yeah. Once like the kind of house
trainers used to be out there.
It's right next to like they built like a new Casey's right next to it.
Yeah.
So when I first came to the States, we used to drive. What's probably like 4 or 5 years ago, when after I graduated, you could see the house was empty, and then they sold it to a developer, and then like it's slowly dwindling down. You know, there's a few horses out there now.
If
but
it's the same one that I'm
it's
thinking
right
of,
next to Wiley Post.
Oh, maybe that's a different one.
No.
Yeah.
Off
I'm
like
not
we
sure.
at Council in Wiltshire or something like that.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. But
that's exactly what happens with a lot of them.
if it was me and someone gave me land, then I
Gotta
don't.
come out of here?
I wouldn't. Well,
Well, you're scared of horses, so
also, it wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't be worth anybody's time to have me train their horse or feed their horse or whatever it is. Like, who wants this land and how much money are you going to pay me?
I'll sell it for $1.
Yes, yeah, a little more than $1, a couple more zeros. But yeah, that's. I'm sure it's sad to see that sometimes. If you've had a relationship and have generationally had a relationship with someone, and then the grandson
It's happened a
takes
few
over,
times. Yeah, it's happened a few times where the parent like passes away or whatever, and there was one that it was like clear that the child was on drugs.
Yeah,
and it was like so sad. The mom used to come in all the time, and I knew she had a really successful business, and passed away, and the daughter was like strung out, and she came in for feed a little while, and then just like came in and was like, "This is my last time. I'm selling all this stuff."
yeah.
And it was just like sad. Like the parent had built up this huge business, and you could tell like the daughter just like,
Yeah.
it was sad.
But got any funny stories from? I mean, I guess cold calling at ranches is not. It's not really the safe thing to do, right? You're
Yeah.
rolling up to someone's ranch in your truck, and they're like, "Who are you? What do you want?"
It's crazy. Yeah.
Walking out with a shotgun.
Yeah. Like at first I was like super scared because it can be a rough crowd, of course. Like it's ag industry. So
The
it can
whole
be,
"you're
like,
on my land"
pretty,
thing.
yeah,
Like I can
rough.
shoot you.
Overalls
yeah.
and shotgun type of situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had a few like weird circumstances, a lot of like not interested. And it's also, it adds another like mix to it that a lot of times a house is also where their farm is.
Yeah.
So you're not just going up to their business where they're there during business hours. It's also like their house, and they walk inside for lunch and it's like, I'm at your house now. You know, it's a weird deal, and all of them have huge dogs. So that's also a weird mix. I maybe like 5 years ago, I got real jacked on this book called The Ultimate Selling Machine. Have you ever heard of it?
I have not.
You got to read it. It's
Good
real.
read?
It'd be, yeah. He did a lot of the author's passed away now, but he did a lot of real estate coaching.
Okay.
But anyways, it's about like one-on-one sales, and he talks about just doing like radical things to get business. So in one of the radical things to get business he does is like send somebody something in the mail that is still just like so cheap as like sending them a letter, but send them something stupid like a Rubik's Cube or something like that. So like, no joke, I sent out one of these to like 20 people, and there's like big potential people.
Yeah.
This guy has like 300 or 400 horses. And so I'd send him a Rubik's Cube and be like puzzled about how to save money or something. I mean, just like
it's the cheesiest thing
stupid
ever.
thing. But it was like something they can't throw away, like a Rubik's Cube or something, you know, just like small enough where it was cheap, but like big enough where they like wouldn't throw it away, hopefully.
Yeah.
So I send this guy this Rubik's Cube, no callback. And I send him something else. So it was like, send him something, then call him like a week later.
Sure.
So I can't get this guy on the phone. I keep sending him these stupid things. And finally, I called up. Part of the book talked about how just act like you know them. So I finally get on the phone with this guy, and I acted like I knew him. And the lady forgot to put me on hold. So she goes, blah, blah, blah farms. And I go, it's this guy here. And his name's Danny. I said, is Danny there? They go, who is this? I said, oh, it's just Steve. And they're like, so, you know, most salespeople are like Steve Cook with Cook.
Yeah,
you know?
of course. Yeah.
That's Steve. Who are you with? I was like, I'm just Steve. I was just needing to talk to Danny. They're like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were a salesperson. I was like, okay. So she forgets to put it on hold. She goes, I don't think he's here. Hold on one second. She forgets to put it on hold. She goes, his name is Steve. He acts like he knows you. He goes, okay. So he comes up, gets on the phone. He's like, yeah. I was like, this guy's rough. I mean, like outer shell. Now I've gotten to know him, so I know he's not. But outer shell, I mean, he's like, sounds rough. He's like, what? I'm like, I'm sure my voice got like so high, bitch. Like, hi, Steve. Hi, this is Steve. Could be that door. You know, like, now what do I do? I've told this guy, like, it's just Steve. I know you, you know. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, this is Steve with Cookie Outdoor. Did you get my package? So he's like, what? I'm like, I've been sending you these packages. One was a calculator, one was a Rubik's Cube, like all this stuff. He's like, he starts laughing. He goes, yeah. He goes, I ain't interested. Click. I was like, dang it. Yeah. So anyways, it goes on, man. I tried for another like 2 or 3 months. Can't ever get a hold of him. So finally, come full circle, like maybe 2 years later, I kind of cooled off a little bit on calling him. Like 2 years later.
Were you still sending him stuff though?
Yeah, I would like still send him like I'd send him stuff on Facebook or send him stuff in the mail. Like I'd just change it up.
Yeah.
Could never get a hold of him. Come like a year or two later, he had this issue with his feed where he actually got this toxin and it killed a bunch of his horses. And
Big deal.
Phone rang, and I was like, "Come out here and I need to talk to you about feed." Go out there. The dude is so intimidating. He's like 6'5", always wears overalls. Is like crazy. Like look like
he's a farmer.
He
He's
is
not
like
small.
super.
Yeah.
Has like hundreds of horses. He's a big deal in the industry, and now he's like one of my biggest customers.
That's the best,
dude.
ever.
He died laughing after I like kind of get to know him and stuff. He's like, man, he's like all these expletives. He's like, you sure are convincing, blah, blah, blah. He's like, so then the stranger walks up when I'm telling him, when we're talking about it, he's like, hey, he's like, this guy, he used to send me these Rubik's Cubes and all this kind of stuff. He's like, he was crazy. And
But he
I'm just
remembers
like
you.
dying laughing. He never forgot me. He's one of the largest marijuana producers in Oklahoma too.
Now he is? Yeah.
Yep. He has like 400 horses and a bunch of marijuana. Crazy.
That's an industry too.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's
He
crazy
like goes
'cause
on and on about it.
you've seen that industry come in too, right? With
Yeah.
everyone of the outdoors people, like they have all this land and all this available space.
That's exactly what he
Everyone's
does.
coming to them like
He converted one of his barns to a marijuana
yeah.
growth deal. Yeah, he's got like as many employees on that side as he does the other.
Wow.
It's insane. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
What do you think about all that stuff? Like in that kind of
I don't know. I feel like it's very like, like vape shop type, like
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be 9 million of them and then those kind of cool off
and
a
those
little
guys
bit.
aren't going to make the money. It's the guys who have they're growing and making all the money.
But
yeah.
and that's what that guy told me. He goes, man, he's like, I've already seen the prices like drop since, he's like, since I started, So I feel like it's a little bit supply and demand, I guess, of course. But who knows? Maybe it'll be kind of stick around type of deal. But
Sure.
I don't know.
So back to, I guess, present day, the Norman store is going to be, what's the timeline on that?
Man, we were just talking about it today. Hopefully like September, October is what we're kind of thinking. Late fall. It was supposed to be spring originally, and then it moved to summer, and now it's kind of fall, but we'll see.
Yeah. And you've already kind of been building a client base for that store already.
Yeah. Just met with, we have a bunch of customers down there already. That's what's cool about already having stores is we can set up and we're trying to have a huge growth on delivery. And so we can just kind of say like, we're delivering in Norman now. So it's kind of a cool ability that we already have other stores that we can do stuff like that.
And I guess what's planned for the future? Just to have as many stores as you can?
Man, here in the last couple months, kind of had like a take over the world plan.
Yeah.
No one's doing delivery. And I really feel like that's
your market you need to jump into.
Order online and deliver is where the rest of the entire world is. And
everyone's doing it, right?
No one's doing that in feed.
Yeah.
So there's like a few, Atwoods, Tractor Supply are some of the two main large people around here, and they're not doing it at all. And so I think we kind of have three sides of the metro, and we'd like to have maybe farther north, Edmond or southwest side, and maybe just have growth on delivery after that. So we're just hired a web developer to polish up our e-commerce and have like a zip code identifier so we can know like
where it's
if we deliver in this area or if we don't, you can just punch in your zip code. And so that's kind of our
be the Amazon delivery of feed.
of the feed world.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. The feed industry is like 10 years behind the rest of the world. So you can just like see what everybody else.
Perfect.
It's like, oh, cool, Walmart pickup. Okay, we'll do that in 2 years.
Yeah.
It's like,
and you'll still be early.
Yeah, and you'll still be. Yeah. There's multiple feed stores. So we sell to other feed stores. So I kind of know some. Multiple feed stores don't have computers. That's like a common deal.
Yeah.
They don't have computers, much less websites, much less.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It almost makes you think that you should like start a tech business for feed stores.
Yeah.
Like a
it's
website.
insane.
Like, hey, this is what we can do. This is what we've done for our business. I can do this for you too.
It is crazy. Yeah. So Purina has this. So we're like one of the largest Purina dealers.
Okay.
And they have this deal. It's called like a panel. And they had this panel on marketing. And so like I have Steve's Horse Show and like all this stuff. Like, hey, why don't you be on the panel for marketing? So it's like 300 dealers and feed stores, other feed stores.
Yeah.
And I'm on this like stage and they're like asking all these questions about marketing. When I tell you that like 90% of the questions were like, how do I start a website or a Facebook page? I mean, it was like,
have you heard of what is it? Squarespace and all this other website stuff.
it was crazy.
It's like going back in time.
It's insane. And they're like 60 years old, 50 years old. And it's like, well, I hired this high school kid and he said I should start a Facebook.
Yeah, he's charging me $1,000 a month to do my Instagram.
Like this high school kid that works in the warehouse is trying to get me online. It's like,
I need to list these people. Maybe they can sponsor the podcast.
Yeah. No, they don't. They don't know what a podcast is.
Well, they might know what a radio show is. Hey, remember that radio you still listen to? Yeah, that's what I have. Do you want to do a radio ads? Brilliant.
When I tell you, I asked one of my customers if he wanted to be on the podcast, on my podcast. He has a huge business. He said, what's a podcast?
Yeah.
I'm not joking. And I was like, kind of like a talk radio show. He's like, yeah. I'm like, it's kind of like that, but he's like, so is it live?
Yeah.
Nope. I'm like, it's crazy. Like, yeah.
That's when you reach out to guests and is it live? And then you say no. That's when you know you have them, right? Because they're like, oh, it's pre-recorded, it's edited.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll be on.
Yeah, something about that, man. People like freak out on live stuff.
Yeah, and video too.
Like that video, like the Steve Source show, dude. It took some convincing. People are like, that was the first question always. Is it live? I'm like, no. I put it on Facebook, but I edited it first.
Yeah.
So like you record it? Yes. It's like a video. It was crazy, man.
Yeah, because it's like unnaturally.
But you know all about that, right?
Yeah.
Don't you hate video?
I hate the editing of video because I was like, I want to try. I did an experiment. I was like, I'm going to do like a daily vlog for like 10, 15 days.
Really?
Yeah.
So
see how I
did
can
you?
do it. Yeah, it's on YouTube. And see if I can do it,
watch
right?
it.
And
Is it
videoed it on
casing
my
ice and
iPhone.
stuff?
Oh, it's terrible. Did it on my iPhone just to like want to know more about it, right? And know like, can I do this? And maybe I can post one a week, whatever it is. Like, how much time does it take? And I did one about like a friend of mine's, his uncle has a Corvette and has a real cool story behind the Corvette. So I did one on that because I love cars as well. And it was like the snow day last year. So we literally just like started it in his garage and that was it. So, just kind of tried to do that, copied some video stuff. And then I did like some random daily vlog stuff. It sucks, dude. I'm like, it's a lot of time to edit video, a lot of time.
The amount of space it takes on your...
Oh, yeah.
That's what's killing me, man. It takes like... Man, some of my stuff took like 8 hours to load. It's like, dang. Like,
I have a videographer friend of mine. He spends so much money on storage every month.
Really?
Yeah, he just buys external hard drives and I
can see that. Do you save all your stuff? Or do you delete it?
No, well, I put it on an external hard drive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, like
just
after I'm done with it, I just delete it.
Well, it's on YouTube, right? You can see it.
You can re-download it.
Yeah. But no, the video stuff's a different animal. But it's on there somewhere. It's probably, I haven't watched it in a while. It's probably super cringy. But I love finding those stories though, and that's probably the same thing with the podcast, right? You just like the car video that I did, the story. Dave, he has always wanted a Corvette. Like he just loved them growing up. Always wanted a red Corvette, and he bought a raffle ticket at a mall for $200 and won a Corvette.
Get out of here.
So he goes, collects that one, trades it in for a brand new one, and he specs it and gets his new one.
That's insane.
$90,000 Corvette.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he won it for $200. It's crazy.
So is it true, like on the taxes and all that stuff?
I have no idea. I didn't.
I wonder if you have to like pay.
I know
like
he paid. He paid it. He had money saved that he was saving up to buy a new one anyway. He just put that towards like inspect it how he wanted it, and like that's and in the interview I did with him, like I said, this car's very personal to you. It's staying in the family, right? And he's like, yeah, this is a generational car that's like, because it's so personal to him. He has like a Bible verse in the dash and like all the, it's really, really cool. It's been a wedding car for a bunch of the family, and
that's
like driven it a couple of times. It's just an old Corvette, right? But to him, and we see Corvettes everywhere. But that story to him was like, that's special.
Next level.
Yeah.
I wish I had like a cool, I'm like so generic, man.
Well, I thought that about myself until someone told me like they heard our podcast and they were like, well, I didn't know that about you.
Dude.
And I was like, yeah, but I'm just, I feel
country
the same way.
And stuff though, like.
Well, that's different.
Just the accent, like.
Yeah. Well, also like, I think for yourself, like you have a family business, like it's, you've grown it significantly. Your parents have grown it, and you've taken over it, and you do it all together. But it's not. It's a cool story, isn't it? Like,
I'll
but when you're in it,
it's
maybe
like,
it's just
like,
what I do.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel the same way about doing the podcast. It's like, I saw this person, or I heard this episode, and what was that person like? I'm like, yeah, they were great, and I had a great time doing it. But it's a bigger deal, I think, to them than it is for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we interview so many people, sit down, or you meet people doing general sales every day.
Yeah, that's very true.
People I'd love to have on the podcast that I either won't ask because I know they don't want to be on, or they just don't want to be on anyway, and they have an amazing story.
Yeah, that's what's incredible about the podcast deal, man. Is it just like you like get blown away by some of the stories that that people have.
Yeah. Has there been any crazy ones for you?
On my podcast?
Yeah.
Dude, the guy I just had sentenced to however many, I think it was like over 100 years, and I can't remember the exact terminology, but he had over 100 years of charges brought against him, I guess, or something. They rolled it all into one, which only gave him 20 years that he had to, it was like called a mandatory sentence. And then somehow he gets that 20 years shortened down to like just a handful. I say a handful of years. I'm sure it's a long time in prison, but he gets his sentence shortened way down and ended up getting out. But he he was like on meth, dealing meth, cooking meth, like, I mean, it was
Breaking
like
Bad stuff.
Crazy. Yeah. And I just like got to ask all my drug related questions that I've always wanted to ask. And prison stories. I mean, the whole bit, which he kind of like clammed up a little bit when I was like asking about the prison stuff. You know, I was like, man, like, tell me some prison stories, you know? And he's like, I turned my life around in prison and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I know.
There's more to that story, right?
Know, like,
I hate that moment. As someone who's interviewing someone, I hate that moment because you're like,
I don't want to be that freaky, like weird, like news person that's like, no, but tell me about, but at the same time, it's just like, but man, just the stories alone about him, like dealing drugs and all that stuff. Yeah. He said, and that was a like kind of like weird part to me is I almost related to him so much because he was saying I was obsessed with the business side of it. He was like, it was like the money and he's like, I didn't really want money, but it was like, I was like, dude, I mean, I like related so much to his business. He like got obsessed with the business side of like dealing drugs.
Well, they're like the ultimate entrepreneurs, aren't they?
It's and now he owns his own business. He's out in prison. He owns his own, he's like, it's kind of the same thing. I'm like, dude, you know, it's like, he's like, but it's not illegal. You know,
like, I learned all the greatest business principles ever.
He was like on meth. He said he was awake for, I think he said 13 days in a row once.
That's nuts.
That's how blitzed he got. That's how blitzed he got. He smuggled it on planes. He was smuggling it on planes. Jeez. The whole bit. You've got to have him on. It was a crazy story.
Plug that episode on you. How do people listen to that?
His name's Larry Andrews.
He's written a book.
Yeah, he's written a book called The Ride. And I should have it on Chatter with Steve here pretty soon.
Okay. So that's the podcast, Chatter with Steve.
Chatter with Steve is my podcast.
And it's on all platforms?
It's on all platforms, yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
Apple and everything.
Yeah. Well, mate, this has been a lot of fun. I feel like I could sit here for like 9 hours, but I know that if I show up late to dinner, Taryn's going to kill me. Because I have to pick up something on the way home. She's going to kill me.
Dude, and Valentine's Day.
We should definitely do this again.
You got to do Valentine's presents.
Well, it's my anniversary soon as well. Like,
get out of here. Double dip?
Yeah, double. I was that cliche person who got married near Valentine's Day.
Do you just lump them in together?
Oh, yeah. 100%. Yeah, she knows that too. Well, and also like my nephew's birthday is the same day as our anniversary, so our anniversary is forever ruined. Right? I mean, you know, especially like the first, second, third birthdays, you know, he's still kind of precious and cute. Once he grows up, like, sorry, dude, it's my anniversary. I'll see you later.
Go putt-putting with your friends or something.
Yeah, exactly. But mate, this has been awesome. So people can Chatter with Steve's the podcast.
Yep.
And then what's the social media and how can we chat on that?
Cook, Feed, and Outdoors, our business.
Yeah.
Steve Cook. I've got personal pages and business pages, but that's
where you can see both of your kids, not just one.
Yeah.
And then the video stuff's on Facebook or YouTube or both?
Both.
Okay.
I try to be everywhere.
Cook, Feed, and Outdoors.
Cook, Feed, and Outdoor.
Awesome. Yep. Great. Yep. Well, if people have pets, come hang out. If you're listening to this and you own a ton of horses, you probably already know who Steve is, but if you don't, you need to check out.
You better know.
Mate, I really appreciate this. Thanks for coming on.
Me too. Yep. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you next episode. Cheers. This podcast was presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, who've been telling Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com and definitely on Instagram at oklahomahof. Catch you next episode. Cheers.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.